So we're here with Marianne Vargalik with Lewis County Public Health. She's the communicable disease nurse, and we're here today to talk a little bit about mosquitoes and some of the diseases that mosquito carry, and how the rainy weather this year kind of adds to the mosquito population. So Marianne, if you just wanted to talk a little bit about what are, obviously with all the heavy rain this spring, and which we're still getting today,
Yep.
it kind of increases mosquito population. So what can people do to curb that a little bit?
So mosquitoes are pretty resilient. Their eggs, they can actually live upwards of 8 months without water, so dry. So once we have the rain and the eggs are covered with water, whether it's from a sprinkler or the rainwater, they start growing and hatching. So people in their homes ought to be checking at least once a week, if you have time to do it every day, emptying things outdoors that have water in it, any kind of standing water. Flower pots, the saucers underneath flower pots, children's pools, any kind of toys that are collecting water. People that have water bottles or soda caps, those covers, if they're upside down and have water, mosquitoes can lay their eggs in that. Mosquitoes will lay their eggs on the inside of the surfaces, and it sticks like glue, and they'll live there until they're covered with water, rainwater or pool water. So you need, in turning them over, doesn't kill the eggs. You also have to scrub those surfaces to kill the eggs. So that was one thing that you can do. Anything that holds water, buckets, your garbage cans, garbage can covers. Those are the things you can do for that. Tightly cover up things if there's stuff to stay outside. Buying some kind of a mesh screen, like things you'd have in your window, and cover your, people like to collect rainwater, putting a cover over those, even if it's mesh, so the water can get in there and the mosquitoes can't get in there to lay eggs. That's a good thing to do. If you have garbage pails outside, keeping the covers good and tight will keep the mosquitoes from going in and laying their eggs.
Okay. And as far as like if you have fountains or a pond or something like that on your property, are there any measures that you can take to prevent mosquitoes that way as well?
Yep. There are larvicides that are available to the public. Always use them according to what the label describes it. So people can use them in their flower pots. You can put them in your buckets, your rain barrels, ponds, gutters, or your downspouts. Things that aren't chlorinated, so non-chlorinated swimming pools. A lot of children, little pools, you can put stuff in there. Pool covers that collect the water, you can put larvicides in there. Septic tanks, tires, and some people will even put the larvicides in tree holes, things that collect water. Always use, you have to read the label because you don't want to to be toxic. You don't want to make sure you're getting someone toxic. Always read the labels. But and you can't put it in water that you're going to be drinking, obviously, because it's toxic to you.
Okay. And what are some of the diseases that mosquitoes carry, and what are some of the symptoms that people should be looking out for if they have some mosquito bites?
Unfortunately, most of the diseases that mosquitoes carry give us flu-like symptoms or cold-like symptoms that turn into flu-like symptoms. So if you've known you've been bitten by a mosquito, always check with your healthcare provider. Diseases that we have seen in the United States, West Nile virus is in New York State, and Triple E or Eastern equine encephalitis virus. Both people and horses can get that. So those are mosquitoes that we can get locally in New York State. Other diseases that you can get are Zika virus, chikungunya, dengue fever, malaria, and those diseases we typically see from people that have traveled outside of the United States. There are some local Zika infections that for people that haven't traveled out of the United States. I have not had any in Lewis County of those types of infections. But pretty much they all start with flu-like symptoms. Some of them do not have any treatment. There aren't antibiotics or antiviral medications to treat them, and you can wind up being very sick and hospitalized. So protecting yourself from mosquitoes to begin with and preventing them from biting you, or taking care of your yards will keep you from getting these diseases.
Okay, and that kind of leads us into what are some of the protections that you would recommend against mosquitoes?
So things to do for the mosquitoes, if people are outdoors, if you do a lot of hiking in dense areas, you can use Pitcairn. Your clothing can, but you got to be careful. It doesn't go on your skin, it goes on your clothing. That can be found at local camping supply stores, or you can send your clothing away to get embedded with that material. There's DEET products out there. Always use DEET products. Read the label. If you don't use them correctly and you're using them on children, I wouldn't recommend that, it can be toxic to people. There's oil of lemon eucalyptus, which a lot of people like because it's more natural, but even though it's more natural, you still have to read the label, because you can actually cause harm to people if you're not using these products correctly. Spraying them on clothing and or your skin, you have to read the label to make sure you're applying it correctly. The higher the percentage of DEET, the longer it lasts on your body, so you don't have to apply it more frequently, so that is a good thing. I do not recommend products that have both sunscreen and DEET product combined, because you have to apply them too often and people can wind up with toxicity by having the combination products. I don't recommend those.
Okay, and is it important to so you're out on a hike for a day, is it important to make sure that you wash the product off?
Yep.
Afterward?
So if you're using a product that you have to apply a lotion, make sure you're washing your hands off after you apply it to your skin, because you obviously don't want to touch your eyes with it. They also come in products that are in wipes, so if you're using the wipe that you have to open up, rinse your hands off before you ingest any kind of food or drink, because obviously you don't want to ingest these products. We always are very cautious about spraying anything on the children, dressing them more appropriately, wearing long sleeve shirts, long pants, using hats, or hats sometimes have netting on them, those type of things. Or if it's a baby in a stroller, they have nets that you can put over the entire stroller so mosquitoes cannot get to your babies. Those are safer than applying a lot of these mosquito insect repellents.
Okay, and as far as people that there's agencies that provide like spraying around houses and things like that. Is that something that you recommend? Or?
Yep. So you can always call your local professional pest controls, because they are licensed, so they know how to apply the sprays and the products for outside. They do it correctly. They're licensed. They know how to do that. I would not go buying something if you don't know how to use it and applying it, because more is not better. More can actually make things worse. Plus, you want to protect the environment and other insects. You want to make sure you're not killing off other animals and insects that we need for the environment. Dressing appropriately, and mosquito proofing your house, making sure your screens are tight and the holes are repaired, not leaving your doors open, using air conditionings in your home actually help the population of mosquitoes in your home, because they can get in your house and they can live in your basement if it's nice and damp. The adult mosquitoes love that. They can live underneath your decks, so making sure any foliage that's underneath your deck is low, so the mosquitoes can't live in the damp areas. So making sure that your outside areas where you're going to be playing, lawns are mowed low. That helps with the adult population of mosquitoes.
Okay. So, and if people have any more questions or want to learn more about mosquitoes and prevention and things along that line, they can contact the public health here.
Yep. So our phone number 315-376-5453. Also going on to the New York State website has information about mosquitoes, and also the CDC.gov website also has good information about mosquitoes.
Okay. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Okay.